Hey everyone. I wanted to take just a few moments and talk with you about assumptions. If you received my email on Monday, you would have read the story about my high school geometry teacher who drilled into us about doing proofs that we should never assume because, and you know the phrase from there. Well, in the workplace, making assumptions can be particularly costly, both for you as well as for the people on the other end of that assumption. Early on in my career, I learned a valuable lesson about assuming information when I simply just didn't have the facts. See, I was working with an instructional coach at a school, and we had gone to visit a seventh grade mathematics classroom, and the teacher mistakenly confused numerator and denominator. And we know in fractions, the numerator is the number on the top and the denominator is the number on the bottom that talks about how many pieces are in the whole being an entity of one. And when I heard that information and the teacher said something like the denominator is the number on top that tells you how many parts you have out of the whole, and I turned to the coach and I said, how are you going to let the teacher know that that's wrong? And I immediately just kind of jumped into action because I heard this misinformation and I felt like I had done this really good job by intervening in this regard. And I went back to talk to my boss and I was debriefing with her about it. And she looked at me and said, John, I'm going to ask you one question. Did you ever think to check to make sure that the instructional coach knew that the information was incorrect? I never did. I had just assumed that the coach who was in this leadership role knew the content as well as I did. Unfortunately, I never got a chance to ask that question, and I missed an opportunity to build a much stronger relationship with that person on my team. Here's the thing. All it takes to counter an assumption is to pause and to ask the appropriate questions. You see, when we show up, we have intentional conversations. And if the intentional conversation in my case was simply just to check in to make sure they knew the content correctly, that's all I had to do. So in the workplace, when you think about the conversations you're having with your team members or your direct reports, how are you ensuring that you are not moving forward based on assumptions, but rather moving forward based on evidence? So here's your call to action this week. I'm just simply asking you to be more mindful about where assumptions creep in your life and how you're able to counteract them. Take a moment, be really, really mindful about this practice. And just like the old saying, remember that we don't want to make assumptions. We simply want to make sure we've got the facts and we can move forward. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. If you would, feel free to message me. You can email me at john@johnneral.com. I look forward to hearing from you, and let's go make it a great rest of the day. Take care, everybody. Thanks.